We got a tailwind. We see our runway shooting past us. Oh no, I got to turn and catch it. I'm going to do full left rudder. Oh, I'm over banking, right aileron and pull. Oh no, oh, I'm stalling. Ah!
Hey guys, welcome back. Sam Terrell, the Northwest Aeronaut. Today, we are going to revisit the demo stalls that you can expect to have to demonstrate on your CFI initial check ride. I did a video again on these a while ago, but I wanted to revisit them in a little bit more detail. So we're going to be looking at the three main demo stalls today. Number one, the elevator trim stall. Number two, the secondary stall, and number three, the cross-controlled stall. Now, before we get into these stalls, I wanted to mention that it's very common for DPs to want to know the scenarios in which you would see these stalls occurring in real-life situations. And to that end, you should try to present them according to one of those scenarios. So, let's start with the elevator trim stall. Where would we see an elevator trim stall happening in a real-life scenario? Well, basically, this demonstrates or simulates the approach to landing phase of flight, where you're coming in for a landing and something's on the runway, or there's another reason why you have to go around. We initiate the go-around, we're trimmed with full flaps for our approach speed, adding that power takes that nose and shoots it straight up into the air. If we do not push forward on the yoke, and if we have not trained our students properly to push during a go-around rather than pull, you will experience an elevator trim stall. So that's kind of the scenario we're going to build this off of. Let's go ahead and jump into the airplane now and take a look at the elevator trim stall.
All right. Demo stalls, the first one we're going to start with is our elevator trim stall. Now, the big thing that DPEs want to see on your CFI check ride in regards to these demonstration stalls are the scenarios in which you would see these occurring in real life. So, our elevator trim stall. This is one we're going to see generally when we're coming into land and we have to go around. It's when people do not do a proper go-around and they don't push the nose forward when they're initiating their go-around. We need to be sure we're teaching our students that when you do a go-around, you are not pulling that nose up, you are pushing that yoke forward to keep that nose at the horizon while you gain airspeed. That nose should stay at the horizon basically until you hit either VX or VY, and then you're pitching up to maintain that airspeed as you continue to baby your flaps out. All right, so we're setting up for this. We're going to get into a landing configuration, put in full flaps in, and we're going to trim for our approach speed. Our approach speed at 813 here is 60 knots. So I'm just going to position myself here, make a quick radio call. West practice area 65813 is over gassed in, 4,500 maneuvering west practice. All right. Here we go. We are in our landing configuration, trimmed for 60 knots. I don't know if you guys can see that. We're coming down. So now we're coming down to the runway. What do we have to do? Oh, there's somebody on the runway. There's another plane there. We got to go around. We add full power. Watch, I'm not going to do anything with my hands. Look at that nose. Shoot up to the sky. Look at that airspeed. Shoot down. If I don't get this nose down soon, we are going to go straight into a stall and very easily into a spin. So, that's our elevator trim stall, and it is to emphasize the point of when we do go-arounds, we need to push. It is to illustrate to your student what can happen if you don't push, and certainly if you were to pull any more than that, how easily this plane can stall, and that's what gets pilots killed in the traffic pattern. The other thing to really emphasize to your student is that, you know, these trainers are very docile, they're very forgiving. Just because you might be able to get away with it in this Cessna 172 doesn't mean a year from now when that same student has got their certificate, they bought themselves a Bonanza, that they're going to be able to get away with it so easily. So, go around procedure. We are coming down to our runway. We're at our approach speed. Oh, time to go around. Full power. Push on the yoke to keep the nose at the horizon. Flaps to 20 immediately. Getting our airspeed up. Flaps to 10. There's VY coming up. It flaps up the rest of the way. We're holding VY in the climb, and we climb away from the ground.
All right, so that was your elevator trim stall. Now, moving on to your secondary stall. Again, there are a couple different scenarios in which you could present this stall occurring in. Basically, coming down to either the landing phase of flight or the departure phase of flight. In a landing situation, you might be coming in, your airspeed is getting slow, you're approaching the runway, you don't realize how slow you're getting. You start hearing that stall warning. Maybe even the airplane starts buffeting. So what do? You do what you've been trained to do. You put that nose down. Maybe you add power. Maybe you don't in the moment. But either way, when you put that nose down, you see that ground coming right up at you. And instinctively, you start pulling back again, putting it into a secondary and even a full-on stall at that point. Now, the scenario I personally like using is in a departure scenario where it's a very hot, high-density altitude day. It may be a high-density altitude airport. We're fully loaded. Maybe we didn't do our performance calculations quite correctly, or maybe we didn't do them at all. As we depart the runway, we see these trees looming off just off the end of the runway. We're pitched for VX. We're trying to climb and outclimb them, and they're just coming straight for us. So instinctively, we start pitching up even more and more and more, trying to outclimb these trees. We start hearing that little whistle of the stall warning going off. Maybe we start feeling some buffet. So what do? We try to recover. We put that nose down, but the trees are right there. And instinctively, whether you want to or not, you are going to try to outclimb those trees by pulling up, and you hit that secondary stall. We're going to talk about and look at both of those scenarios here, and let's go over to the airplane.
All right, guys, next demonstration stall. We are going to be doing our secondary stall. What is a situation in which you would see a secondary stall in real life? Well, one of my favorites. You could really do this in either the landing configuration as you're approaching the landing. Maybe the student gets slow on approach. They see that they're about to stall, so they try to recover, but then they see the ground rushing up at them and they try to pull up and it stalls again, okay? But one of my favorite ways to demonstrate this is a departure scenario where it's a hot day like it is today. It is over 90 degrees here today in Hillsboro, and our density altitude is high. We got tall trees at the end of our runway, and so as we are fully loaded trying to climb out of this high density altitude airport, we have trees looking us in the face. We're trying to pull up to clear these trees. We're holding VX, and all of a sudden we hear the stall warning come on. So we know, oh, that's a bad thing. I need to put the nose down. I put the nose down, but then I see the trees coming right at us. I have to pull up. My instincts are telling me I have to pull up. And that's when the secondary stall occurs. So let's simulate that. Here we are. We're just going to use partial power for this power on stall. Partial power to simulate reduced performance in a high density altitude environment. Here we are. We're going pitching up. We're going to hold VX, roughly 60 knots. Only about 2,200 RPM. All right, we're climbing to VX. We see the trees ahead of us. Oh man, this is not looking good. I need to pitch up a little bit more. It's just not quite getting there. Oh, the trees are coming. Oh, the stall's coming on, or the stall warning's coming on. Oh, I need to put the nose down. But wait, the trees are right there. I'm going to hit them. I'm going to pull up. Oh, it's another secondary stall, and that's how it happens. All right. All of this to illustrate the importance of, one, proper performance planning, proper understanding of density, altitude, and high elevation departures, but also just to illustrate the fact that, guys, if you're about to stall, you have only one option, and it is to reduce that angle of attack. Obstacle or no obstacle, pulling up will not help you.
All right, guys, I hope that was helpful there. We just demonstrated the secondary stall in the departure phase. We talked about a little bit how you could do it from the landing phase as well of flight. So practice them both and figure out some other scenarios, perhaps, in which you might encounter a secondary stall. Finally, we're going to our cross-controlled stall. Now, the common way that we present this type of stall happening is kind of in the base to final turn. You're a student pilot. Student pilots have an inherent fear of the ground as it gets closer, and they want to stay away from the ground. As a result, they bring their nose up prematurely throughout the pattern. Airspeed starts bleeding off sooner than it should. Perhaps you have a tailwind on base leg. So as we turn base, we're already getting slow. We roll out on base only to look out the window and see our runway shooting past us. So what does the student pilot do? Well, they try to bank hard. They don't want to overshoot. They use that left rudder to try to tighten their turn because it looks good out the window. It looks like we're going to be able to tighten the turn that way. But what happens when we do that? The airplane starts to bank more to the left. So instinctively, they start using right aileron to counter that overbanking tendency from the left rudder. As they pull him back, trying to tighten the turnaround to the runway, the airplane stalls. And in the right combination, that left wing will drop because now we're using that right rudder. That left wing drops and kind of puts you upside down into a spin type situation straight into the ground. So that's the scenario we try to present this in. The other scenario that I kind of do, and also to demonstrate the inherent stability of these trainer aircraft, is just to show it in a straight head-on forward slipped condition. So we just go into a forward slip. We start pitching up. You can do this with or without power. Obviously, a real forward slip you'd be doing without power. But put in a forward slip, start pitching up, and just see what happens. We're going to look at both of those scenarios now, so let's head over to the plane.
Finally, our cross-controlled stall. Now, cross-controlled stall generally is going to be a slip condition. We're going to have rudder in one direction. We're going to have aileron in the other direction. So, again, looking at the scenarios, the one that we usually use to demonstrate a cross-control stall is a student who's coming in the pattern. They turn downwind, and then they turn downwind to base. Maybe they have a tailwind on base. They start moving faster than they expect. They see they're overshooting their runway, and they're already getting slow because, you know, students, they get afraid of the ground. They start pulling that nose up early. All their airspeed is already going away. So they try to tighten their turn by overbanking, using rudder to tighten that turn and trying to pull the turn through. When they use the rudder to tighten it, well, it wants to bank that way. So what do? They use opposite aileron to fight that overbanking tendency, and that's how they end up in a cross-controlled condition and ultimately enter a cross-controlled stall. That's the main scenario we use when we're talking about these. And we're going to demonstrate that here in a second. But the other scenario I like to use is just simply, what if you're doing a forward slip to land and you let your nose get too high? Well, let me show you what that looks like. We're going to pretend we're coming down. We're doing a forward slip. I'm going to do full right rudder, full left aileron. Well, not full left aileron, but enough left aileron to keep my pitch level. Here we are. I'm in a forward slip condition, and I'm just bringing that nose up. Watch what happens, guys. We're bringing that nose up. There's the stall warning. Oh, look at that. We're stalled. We're stalled, and nothing is happening. Our nose is going down. We're not spinning. We're not doing anything. To recover, we relax the back pressure, reduce that angle of attack, and just bring that nose up after we gain our airspeed. Okay? Very docile. Now, again, that's these trainer planes. They're all very docile and forgiving. That's not going to be the case with every plane you fly. Okay? All right, so back to the original scenario. Here we are. We are a student pilot. We're going to put in about 20 degrees of flaps because, you know, we're going to simulate that base to final turn. Base to final, so we're kind of on downwind here. We're already getting slow. Like, we're already at 60. That's our final approach speed. That shouldn't be our speed on downwind. We should be at 80. But we're coming in downwind. We're turning base. Our nose is already too high. But we're looking, you know, we can't see our runway with a high wing airplane as we turn to base. So we're turning base, or we're getting slow, we're not paying attention. And then we roll out on base here. We got a tailwind. We see our runway shoot past us. Oh no, I gotta turn and catch it. I'm gonna do full left rudder. Oh, I'm over banking, right aileron and pull. Oh no, oh, I'm stalling. Ah! Woo! All right. That almost wanted to go into a little bit of a spin there. So that's your cross-controlled stall. That's how easily it can happen. And that is the scenario in which you want to present it to your students and to the DPE on your check ride.
All right, guys, so that was your cross-controlled stall. I hope this revisit of these demonstration stalls has been helpful. Let me know any questions you guys have down in the comments. These are stalls that you don't do unless you're going for your CFI check ride, but they are very valuable tools to be able to demonstrate for teaching purposes to your students. So put those questions down in the comments. Thanks for hanging out with me, and until next time, resume your own navigation. See ya.